Good evening, everybody. How are you? This is Enrique of Spanish United, and welcome to Spanish United Radio. Which is a popular podcast which gives different types of issues relating to the Hispanic community in different times of the day. If you're interested, go to Spanish United YouTube, Spanish United Instagram, Spanish United Twitter, and Spanish United Facebook group, and you'll find everything that's related to Spanish United. And Spanish United is a nonprofit group. So any donations that anyone gives is tax deductible and it is used to help Hispanics that are disenfranchised. So today on our show, it's the issue of disenfranchisement. What is disenfranchisement? Disenfranchisement, also called disenfranchisement or voter disqualification, is the restriction of suffrage, the right to vote, of a person or group of people, or a practice that has the effect of preventing a person exercising the right to vote. Disenfranchisement can also refer to the revocation of power or control over a particular individual, community, or beings of the nature of entity they have, that is to deprive of a franchise of a legal right, of some privilege or inherent immunity. Disenfranchisement may be accomplished explicitly by law or implicitly through requirements applied in a discriminatory fashion through intimidation or by placing unreasonable requirements on voters or registration or voting. Disenfranchisement primarily means people that are not able to vote. But people that are disenfranchised could also refer to people that they lack not only political power, but economic and academic power. And nowhere else do I see people that are disenfranchised than in the Hispanic community. Um, Not too many people know this, but in the Hispanic community, they are one of the most um, underrepresented, unheard, and one of the most exploited people in the United States. Um, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I was telling him that one of the reasons why I started Spanish United, primarily because Hispanics don't have any type of representation and they don't have any type of political or economic power. There are various religious, ethnic, and social groups that they may be small in percentage to Hispanics, but they wield a tremendous amount of political, economic, and also influence over government and over people. So these particular groups that have the economic power or political power, they're able to influence and lobby in in what do you call that? Representing the people. While Hispanics, on the other hand, we don't have their privilege. So unfortunately, Hispanics tend to get the short end of the stick. And one of the things that I do in Spanish United is to advocate for Hispanics that are completely disenfranchised. And I see it when it comes to racism, xenophobia, Hispanophobia, because of the issue of immigration, depending on what districts or areas Hispanics reside in. There are many Hispanics that are not able to vote or get their opinions heard because of gerrymandering, where you have districts or municipalities that are left out, where you have a huge majority of people, and those people are not able to vote. So I feel it's done intentionally on purpose to prevent Hispanic people from voting. At the same time, from preventing Hispanics to be involved directly in the voting and the political legislative process. And I don't think it's right because Hispanics that are American born or naturalized citizens, they have a right to vote and they have a right to be heard. And as with every single human being, are entitled protections and civil liberties and human rights, which I feel that many of them are denied on a constant basis because of their ethnicity. And I don't think it's right. I think it's immoral. I think it's wrong. So I ask people when I ask, do you know that Hispanics are the most disenfranchised group in the United States? A lot of people scratch their head and they say, really? I was not aware of that because Hispanics, unfortunately, were not considered a race, were considered an ethnicity. Hispanic could be of any race. So, um, when it comes to minority protections or anything of that nature, Hispanics are barely covered because you have many Hispanics identify as white, identify as black, or identify as mixed, or etc. But I think Hispanics as a collective need to be more united and advocating for themselves because nobody else is doing it for us. And at the same time, it also prevents Hispanic people from being routinely abused and taken advantage of by other groups of people, let it be um, districts, let it be employers, let it be businesses, let it be companies, let it be renters, students, just regular people. Because, Hispanics are people that we represent a large amount and the largest amount of the workforce. And I feel we're the most neglected out of all of the groups, racially, ethnically, linguistically, politically, religiously speaking. And, how are we to exercise reforms when, we don't go out and do something about it? And doing something about it doesn't mean protesting and, pillaging, torching, destroying, and of that nature, because unfortunately it doesn't get anything done and it gives a negative impression of what a Hispanic person is. And one thing that Spanish United is trying to do is to reinvent the image of the Hispanic people, to change how we are as people, that we are people that we do try to do things peacefully in a respectful, productive manner. And there are ways of lobbying for reforms without having to resort to violence because unfortunately that's what happened in the past and unfortunately it hasn't been has not been to our benefit. So um, Hispanics need to be more involved when it comes to voting, when it comes to community involvement, and at the same time we need to fight against disenfranchisement because if we continue to be disenfranchised, we're always going to be disenfranchised, and we're always going to be overlooked. Like, how can we demand, for example, better housing, better schools, better food, better services, better jobs, if no one knows who we are, if we are invisible? And I feel that even though we are visible when it comes to the workforce, when it comes to immigration, illegal immigration, when it comes to being scapegoated by others, but when it comes to, advocating or fighting for our own needs, for our own rights, our own individual rights, uh, we seem to be invisible. And it needs to stop because it's harming everybody. And the only way we can better ourselves is that we need to speak. And the only way we can speak is through voting. So that's my take on it. Thank you so much for being on the show. And anyone that is willing or wanting to come on the show, feel free to contact me on social media, send me a direct message, and I look forward in speaking with anyone that wants to come and talk about the empowering and the investment of Hispanic people in the United States. And anyone that wants to donate is also free to donate. And again, I mentioned we are tax deductible. Anything you give will be used to help someone in the community, at the same time to make the living conditions of our fellow Hispanics much better. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.